Start shortly. We will be across all of those developments and the implications for the wider region. We do move on, and US President Donald Trump has urged Russia to get moving on ending the war in Ukraine, calling the conflict senseless and saying it should have never happened. His remarks came just before his envoy Steve Witkoff concluded a high-stakes 4-hour meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in St Petersburg. The Kremlin confirmed that the talks focused on terms of a potential Ukrainian settlement, but no breakthrough was announced. Trump has expressed growing frustration with Moscow's delays, warning of possible secondary sanctions on Russian oil buyers. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the site of a recent Russian missile strike in his hometown of Kryvyi Rih. The April 4th attack killed 19 people, including 9 children, making it one of the deadliest strikes on civilians in over a year. Zelensky placed flowers and a teddy bear at the site, vowing to boost regional air defences amid continued Russian attacks. He also visited a local military hospital, presenting soldiers with medals. Well, joining us to discuss the developments from the past 24 hours or so is Glenn Grant, an ex-advisor to the Ukrainian Defence Minister, joining us from Riga in Latvia. Glenn, thank you very much for joining us today. I first want to look at these statements from Donald Trump saying that Russia needs to get a move on. Do you think that that stance that he's putting out in these comments is matching the stance that the US are actually providing diplomatically?
Well, first thing is I'm actually in Kiev at the moment, not in Riga, so I'm able to get a good feel for what's going on here. It's interesting. I mean, if you actually contrast what your last speaker was talking about Iran and then what Trump is actually sort of dealing with Russia, it's like chalk and cheese. And yet they're both countries that want to take down America, and they're both countries that want to do damage to the West. So it's quite a striking contrast. I mean, Witkoff came back from Russia with a sort of a plan that was completely only a Russia plan, with absolutely no compromise from Russia whatsoever. And hearing Donald Trump say that he's getting cross with Russia is a first. But I don't see any evidence that he's actually willing to do anything of any substance. I mean, secondary sanctions may damage them a bit, but I don't think it's going to stop Russia trying to keep the war going forward. And they're certainly not looking for peace in any way, shape or form.
Yes, Glenn, I would like to get your opinion on the meeting that's taken place between Steve Witkoff, the US envoy, and Vladimir Putin. What do you think about this meeting, and what do you think from a Ukrainian point of view in terms of these ongoing conversations between Russia and the US?
Well, it's very clear that Witkoff is simply not up to this game. I mean, he's being played by Putin, played by the KGB, you could say, and that he doesn't understand that either the stakes or Ukraine in any way, shape or form. I can tell you now that the Ukrainians remain deeply stubborn about everything and are willing to actually to continue without America if they have to. Because they are not going to give up the territory in the way that Russia wants, and apparently in the way that Witkoff and even General Kellogg want them to do so. So there's a lot of high stakes still to play.
Glenn, we can't forget about the conversations that have been happening with Ukraine and their allies. Yesterday, $21 billion in military aid provided to Ukraine by those allies meeting in Brussels. What more is needed from Ukraine in order to get towards peace?
Well, nothing from Ukraine. Ukraine has already given up 20% of its land. And you can't ask Ukraine, who is the victim, to give up more. I mean, you don't ask the rapist to go, the raped girl to go back and be raped again, do you? Well, at least I hope not. Not in any other country I know would.
Glenn, I apologise. I may have misspoken there. What I meant to say was in terms of further support for Ukraine. I may have said from. My apologies. Obviously, allied nations have been providing that financial support, but it seems that diplomatically, the only people that are trying to have these negotiations with Russia is the US. So is there more needed from other allies around the world in order to get us towards a peace deal?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the US is a negotiator at the moment, no question about it, towards Russia. So there is a need for others. I mean, Macron said that he's willing to negotiate on part of Europe, but seems to sit back and let America continue to do its work. There were suggestions the last couple of weeks that India could take a part and that Modi could actually step in. I think that will be a good start, although he also is a Russia lover. So he may accept the Russia side too much. But there is a need for others to actually to point out to Russia that they're not going to win this, and they cannot be allowed by the Western world to let them win this. Otherwise, the whole of the everything that we've gained since World War II is broken and thrown away.
Glenn, one final question to end this discussion. You talked about other nations there that have said they will play a part in trying to end this war. China, one of those nations, but of course Zelensky speaking in recent days about Chinese nationals fighting. What's your opinion on Chinese integration into this war, and what risk does that pose?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, there are Chinese nationals, but I think someone said there are 150. Well, 150 Chinese nationals out of the 1.3 billion is not exactly anything one should note of any strength. But of course, if China starts officially sending troops like North Korea, then I'm sorry, but we're all in trouble. But at the moment, China is just trying to play a balancing game of keeping the West, keeping America happy, despite the tariffs argument, of keeping the West happy and supporting both sides and making money from it. I think there's a long way to go with China yet, and to actually see which side it falls down on, because there can't be that much to gain from siding with Russia.
Glenn Grant, thank you as always for providing us your insight.